Okay, my friends. Yay, we made it. Are you ready for week 4 of the psychonutrition support, recovery, rest, and integration, right? Supporting system refinement and emotional stability. Anyway, um, welcome back, right? Like I'm having a lot of fun with this, and I hope you are too. Um, as most of you know, this is a really new integration. It's my gift to you. So hopefully you're enjoying it. Hopefully you're utilizing it. And, we're all learning some new stuff. So this is the psychonutrition support for week 4 of January. And in this week's group, right, we're focusing, or we focused in our conversation on refinement. Okay, so that's keeping what works and releasing what doesn't. So today, in this conversation, we're going to talk about the piece that a lot of us miss, or should I say underestimate, actually. It's probably more like it. And then when we underestimate things, what happens, right? Like we quietly pay for it later. And so that's the recovery space. And I know that we're really broadening our perspectives around the word recovery and what it means and what it looks like and what it really entails, because there's a lot of different spaces. So I'm going to set our expectations real clear here, right? Like this is not going to be a space for us to talk about doing less. It's not about utilizing rest as a reward. And what I think what I want us to take forward is an understanding, right? That recovery is a functional requirement for our emotional precision. Okay. And it matters more than most people think, right? I think, most people think recovery is something that, you earn after being super productive, right? But emotionally regulated systems treat recovery as part of the performance. Yeah. Right. Because without that recovery space, our regulation erodes. Our response controls will shorten and reactivity is going to increase. Think about it, right? I know a lot of you, I talk about this a lot. So if you're new, you're going to hear this for the first time, but, like in between everything that I do, right? I'll do a core non-physical feeling check-in, and it's so automatic in my brain that I'm constantly giving myself that recovery space. It allows me to leave whatever I just did in the space that I did it, right? So it doesn't, come along with me, and I don't start bringing, baggage, or even if it's good, right? Like I still don't bring that with me. I might, keep some of that positive, happy energy with me, but I'm not going to bring what just happened before into my next, right? So, to normalize this, right? Like, most people in the world, they just don't notice that this is happening, right? Like they don't notice that as their days go on, right? Like their ability to emotionally regulate erodes. They're blaming it on something outside of them. Okay, that's that locus of control. So so because they're blaming it on something outside of them, and because everything is eroding, their responses, their response controls, get shorter and shorter, and then that reactivity increases. And so, right, they just feel more sensitive. They feel less patient. They're quicker to react. They're slower to bounce back, which not my favorite term, but it works, right? So what's happening is they're assuming that something's wrong with them. And because I hear it all the time, people, they come into my space. It's what I do, right? I could talk to people about, but so one of the things that we look at, one of the very first lessons we learn is the art of pause. And so that we can start looking at, what's missing. And again, that's that recovery space, whatever that needs to look like. So January, right? Like this whole month was not about pushing, right? Like it was about building a system and a system that doesn't require constant effort. And recovery is what keeps that system intact. Okay, so let's keep this grounded and non-technical, right? Your nervous system is constantly, right? It's constantly responding to the input. And emotional regulation requires lots of energy, right? We talked about that last week. Emotion regulation requires energy, and energy needs that recovery. So when recovery is insufficient, the body stays in low grade activation. Okay, so low grade activation, which means the cortisol stays elevated, emotional thresholds lower, small stressors feel bigger, and rest becomes less effective. Now, this isn't because you're not resting enough, right? Like, remember, I'm not talking resting like sit down on the couch, put your feet up, although that sometimes is nice. Right? It's most often because the rest isn't happening consistently, right? Regroup, refresh, realign, touch in, right? So recovery but I guess what I'm saying is that recovery doesn't require big long breaks, right? It requires reliable signals of safety. And so, right? I don't want to add some big recovery protocols. I want you to, I don't know, use a mindfulness bell app and have it, gong for you every hour just to signal you to take 5 breaths and a drink of water. Right? I don't, right? Like what I want us, I don't want us to necessarily add recovery protocols. I want simplifying, right? Like that's what I want. I want us to simplify how our system comes down. So I don't know. Let's look at the 3 recovery support principles. Okay. Let's look at the first one as being predictable wind down, beating occasional collapse. Okay. So that was long-winded, right? Yeah, what I want you to hear in that is waiting until exhaustion forces recovery. Predictable wind down prevents depletion. So I'm going to say that again. Okay. If we're waiting until exhaustion forces us to go, right? That's not what we're looking for. What we're looking for is predictable wind down so that we can prevent the depletion. Okay. So number 1 is predictable wind down so that we can beat all of those occasional collapses. The second one that I want us to utilize, all right, or the principle I want us to think about is your nourishment will support rest chemistry. Because okay, so rest isn't stopping. I want it to be a space where it's about giving the body what it needs to shift states, right? When I talk about sitting in and moving through, right? But so if we're under fueling, can make your rest feel restless. Okay, so if your rest feels restless, you're under fueling. So we want to, right, create that rest chemistry through nourishment. And then number 3, the rhythm matters more than the duration. Okay. Really important. The rhythm matters more than the duration. So short, consistent recovery moments regulate better than those rare, long ones, right? Your system is learning from you what to expect. Okay. So like I said, in between each thing. So, we all know my one-on-ones are an hour, and usually they're stacked on top of each other. And so in that moment between sessions, right? Like I have to recover. I have to take breaths. I have 60 seconds, right? 60 seconds. That's my recovery. And my body, my system, my chemistry expects them. It knows it's there. It knows it's coming. And it allows me, right, to sit in and move through everything that goes on for myself during the day. Now, of course, right, I keep things here. I currently don't have a water, but that's odd. I actually just finished it. But I always have a water and some nourishment so that there's no crashing, right? So again, it's not about sleeping more hours, although we do, we will be talking about sleep. But this is helping your system recognize when it's safe to power down. When our recovery is built into the systems, right? Like I just described, right? Like my recovery is built into my systems, my activities of daily living. And so when we do that, what's going to change for you is you're going to have the ability to stop bracing for yourself. Your trust in your responses are going to change, right? Like you're going to feel more confident. You're going to trust that you're responding with intention and purpose, right? And you don't need, you're going to find that you don't need so much pressure to keep going, right? Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like, oh, I just gotta, I gotta keep going. I gotta keep going. I've got this list. It's gotta get done. And that's going to be a huge refinement for you. So what you keep from January, my friends, should include how you recover, not just how you perform. This week, I want you to notice, when does my system get the signal to rest? Is recovery reactive or rhythmic? And what helps me downshift most easily, right? Like, no fixing, just noticing. Okay. Recovery isn't the opposite of growth. It's what allows growth to continue. Again, right? Motivation is your spark. Momentum is what we're going for. So January, this month, right, hasn't been about intensity, right? We've been working on sustainability. When I recover constantly, I can sustain. That's my emotional precision. I hope it's yours too.